And that's one of my arguments with Conor versus Khabib. I had a lot of people actually telling me that they think Conor could last 5 rounds. Or that they think... I had one guy telling me that he thought Khabib would gas out before Conor because he would have to keep holding down Conor as Conor's trying to stand up. What? No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Conor's not a grappler at all. Conor actually has better cardio if it stays standing, right? That's why you saw in the Nate Diaz fight, it didn't really go to the ground a whole lot, did it? It stayed where Conor is comfortable. It stayed on the feet. It was mostly a boxing match with Conor throwing some leg kicks. So it kind of catered to what Conor is more experienced in, you know? It's something he's always done. Now, fighting a guy who has that heavy of wrestling and grappling like Khabib and staying on the bottom of Khabib when he's landing shots on you, he's trying to pass on you, he gets into half guard, he gets into side control, he's fighting through that position as well as keeping that top pressure. People say that Khabib feels like he's a middleweight on top of you. And with that pressure, like I said, landing constant ground and pound, now he's looking for submissions. Now you're trying to stand up and he's breaking down your post and then landing shots again, and he continues this. It's an endless cycle. You can ask Michael Johnson the same thing. And Edson Barboza. People seem to have a short memory about Edson Barboza. Barboza does not have bad cardio. He does not have bad cardio. Look at his fight with Tony Ferguson. That war. Look at his fight with Paul Felder. Those are some high-pace, intensity fights. And he was able to go. I know in the Tony fight he was gassing. I mean, he did get upkicked pretty bad, which didn't help him there as well. But he did gas a little bit toward the end of that. But look at the pace, you know? He was able to last a little bit through that. And then the Paul Felder fight was just back and forth the entire fight. And he looked really good until the end of it. All the way till the end of it. It's just the grappling and the wrestling is just not part of his game. He's not super experienced under that pressure, under the lights, against an actual high-level wrestler, sambo fighter, whatever the grappling factor is. It's like swimming with a fish. Can you last longer than that fish? But now can the fish last on land as long as you can? A human, let's say. I know that's an extreme analogy of it, but it's a similar thing. So no. And Khabib in general seems to have better cardio than Conor. Just in general, let alone with the wrestling. I mean, we've seen Khabib get stuffed before by Gleison Tibau, kept the fight on the feet the entire time, and he didn't gas out. Khabib does have amazing cardio. It's insane, especially if you see his workouts and what he does as a warm-up. I don't know if you guys seen Anatomy of a Fighter, something like that. Shout out to that guy because he has some amazing videos. But I saw in his videos where Khabib and the other Dagestani guys, their warm-up was this insane version of basketball where they're pretty much wrestling with each other at the same time, and that's their warm-up. I recommend you guys see that to see what kind of just their warm-up is like, these guys. I thought they were just playing around. I didn't think they were going to train right after until Khabib said it. Khabib said, yeah, we're going to train right after for real. This is just our warm-up. That's crazy. That is insane. I don't think I would last at all in that. Yeah, so his work is insane. He also knows the cardio workouts. Conor has been riding the bike a whole lot before. He hasn't been running, at least as much as it was documented. But it seemed like he wasn't running too much. He wasn't working on his cardio the most efficient way, and that kind of costed him. People point out him fighting Floyd Mayweather and how he was lasting in a boxing match. People seem to forget Conor, yes, he is an MMA fighter, but he did come from boxing for a long time. He boxed for a pretty long time. He boxed when he was at a very young age, so that whole thing gets built into his body. You know, his body's so used to boxing. But even still, in that boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, you know, one of the greatest boxers of all time, although he was not in his prime at all, he was old and it was very obvious looking at that fight. He did not look like the same Floyd at all. He still gassed out pretty fast. You know, I think it was 4th or 5th round, he started to show signs of tiring, like pretty bad. And that's what Floyd picked it up on him. And if you think about it, that is not impressive, especially looking into his MMA fights. Because in MMA, Conor usually gasses out at the end of the 2nd round into the 3rd round when he fought Nate Diaz, that is. I know a lot of people point out different in weight class, that is. Okay, yeah, that is also a factor in it. But even against Chad Mendes, he was gassing out on that one against a wrestler. I don't know if he was injured in the fight, but I know he had stem cells or something like weeks before the fight. So we actually don't know how bad he was after the fight or during it. But Chad was also injured coming into that one. I think he had a broken foot coming into the fight. But nonetheless, if you look at it, Conor usually gasses out like end of the 2nd round into the 3rd round. He's showing signs of real fatigue. But he's usually only having 1 or 2 breaks in that time. And they're each 1 minute long. And then when you look into the boxing fight, so he goes into the 5th round, he's gassing out. That is roughly already 12 minutes into the fight. And he had 4 breaks in between, each 30 seconds long. So it's another 2 minutes. And he's been fighting for around 12 minutes. And he's already gassing out against Floyd Mayweather, where there is no wrestling. It's a little bit different. It is boxing. There's a lot of punch count going on. There's a lot of punching output. Different kind of pressure from Floyd. And there's a whole thing with that as well. So that's not the best argument to point to, because Conor did gas out. Usually where he starts to gas out in MMA. I know against Eddie Alvarez, he looked pretty good into the second round. But then again, Eddie was not pressuring him at all, except like a few points there and there. And for the takedowns, he did have Conor once against the cage, if I remember correctly. Tried to get the takedown, but he didn't really have the hips. He didn't really get a good grip. Conor switched his legs on him, got out of the grip, and then just created distance from there. Eddie's takedowns were just from way too far away. He wasn't setting them up. He just wanted to box with Conor for the most part. So there wasn't that kind of pressure like Khabib would put on him. But then again, with Khabib pressuring you, you're in range for those striking. Now, I don't want to get a whole lot into the whole breakdown thing, because I am going to make a breakdown in this fight. I'm going to have to do a little bit different. It's not going to be my usual style. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, but it's going to still have the same kind of analysis. Same kind of analysis, but just a different style to it. So I hope you guys still enjoy it. I'm pretty sure you guys have still learned the same amount. That will come on in the next couple weeks. But looking back at that UFC 227 card,